joins. Once again, let's chat about Freemasonry. Gonna give it a couple minutes to see who jumps on. As always, I'm happy to kind of chat about anything anybody wants to chat about, although today I did want to talk a little bit more about same thing I talked about previously, which is this play called Angry Allen, which I'm very interested in learning more about because I think there could be some really interesting overlaps between that and Freemasonry that I want to explore, as well as a few other things I want to talk about. So let's give it a few minutes. Let's see who joins, and we're going to ask the poll question down here once again. Oops, it's not working here. Let's go to the channel. Thank you, everybody who's joined so far. I hope you're all doing well, having a great day. Let's see. Apparently, there's also a new feature on the Communities tab, which I don't know anything about. So I'm hoping I can learn more about that tab, and I think it gives you guys a chance to interact with us more. Come on. There we go. Welcome, Dad. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I hope your day is going well. By the way, I hope everybody will keep on their calendar August 16th, where I'll be at the Windsor Hip Hop Festival, live streaming from there. I think we as Freemasons, it's very important that one thing we do is that we try to promote, encourage local. I think Freemasons should celebrate local, whether it's celebrating the local economy, celebrating local artists, celebrating local communities, just celebrating our local community, where our lodge is located, the city it's in, etc., etc. And I think the Windsor Hip Hop Festival will provide me with a good opportunity to support and promote some local artists, local hip hop, local culture, and local community. So that's August 16th. I'll be posting more information about it shortly. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Pops. I hope everybody is doing well and having a great, great day. We're back to the heat after a nice little reprieve, but it is not as hot as it has been up till now, so I'm not going to complain too much about anything. But I hope everybody hanging out here is doing well. As always, take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Hope you don't mind some of the fun noises coming from outside. I've got my window open right now, but that's okay. We're just here to hang out. Like I said, I'm interested lately in, amongst other things, this play called Angry Allen, which is currently an Off-Broadway production. I guess it was written about 7 years ago. Written by a Penelope Skinner. I think it shows and provides an interesting potential, some insights into men who are lost, men who are lonely, and maybe if they had something other than the manosphere and the internet, some ways that we could maybe support them. Well, then stay inside, be safe. In the meantime, drink lots of water, and just try to take care of yourself. Congratulations, Courtney, August 7th. That is awesome. August 7th is, let's see, what day of the week is that? I'm going to go into Outlook quickly and check my calendar. But that is awesome, Courtney. I hope everybody will take a moment to leave some hearts in the stream, leave some congratulations. Congratulations on what I'm sure will be a great day. Let's see, your initiation day is August 7th. Thursday. It's a Thursday. All right, congratulations, Courtney. That's awesome. I hope everybody will jump in the chat, say congratulations to Courtney. I know it's been a bit of a journey for him, so it's wonderful to hear. In the meantime, I hope everybody is doing well. Please, if you're just joining us, take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. We're here to chat about Freemasonry. Today, I want to talk more about this play I've discovered called Angry Allen, as well as just hang out, chat with people as always. I hope everybody is doing well. By the way, our Grand Lodge here in Ontario is coming up soon, coming up on July 16th. I don't know who's traveling to it yet, but I always recommend if you're a newer Mason and you're looking for something fun to do, by all means, check out Grand Lodge. It can be a really special, really fun, really enjoyable experience. And in the meantime, though, I hope everybody will jump in the chat to say hello. Answer the poll question. Let me know how you're doing. And if there's anything you want to talk about. Usually I give it a little bit of time to see who joins before we start discussing the main subject. And by the way, I am considering doing a 24-hour stream either on Twitch or YouTube, or maybe doing both. Maybe doing Twitch first and YouTube. As soon as I know the date for sure, I will let you know. So sorry, Courtney, which lodge is it on the 7th that you're joining? I know you told me the name before, but I can't think of it now off the top of my head. And yeah, I know I've got your address, Courtney. I think I've still got it recorded from when you were a patron, but maybe send it to me again through Instagram just so I can maybe send you a congratulations card. Because you deserve it for all the work you put in. Welcome, Taha. Eskindorpor. I'm going to just call you Taha, if that's okay. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the chat. Let me know if you have any questions about Freemasonry, any comments, any thoughts, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. And also just let me know how you are doing. This is a stream we talk about Freemasonry. Today I'm going to talk about the play Angry Allen, which is currently in New York. It's a one-man play starring John Krasinski. But I think there's a lot of very interesting ideas that could apply to Freemasonry therein. And I did talk in the past, the last couple streams, about Texas relief efforts, Texas Masonic relief efforts for those affected by the Texas flash floods, which I understand there's currently over, I think if I recall correctly, over 120 confirmed dead with still over 100 missing. And so yeah, I would recommend everybody go back to some of my past streams, take a look at those, record the information. Texas Freemasons are working very hard, as they always do in any Mason or Masonic lodges, oftentimes in the face of natural disasters, work incredibly hard to collect donations, collect money, collect whatever is necessary to help those impacted by the disaster. I mean, that was in the case of the fires in Los Angeles. That was in case of the forest fires in Manitoba. I mean, you often see Masonic lodges stepping up and helping those in need. Mountain Lodge number 661. Sounds like a really cool lodge. Was that at all close to the flash flooding at all, Courtney? I don't really know a lot about the geography of Texas, so I'm not sure where Santa Ana is as compared to where the flooding was, but Small but great is okay. I mean, small is great. I think sometimes when it comes to smaller lodges, they have this tendency to, people sometimes in Freemasonry look down upon them a little bit, but I think oftentimes smaller lodges can actually be a real beacon for Freemasonry and what Freemasonry can accomplish. So I'm just looking on a map because I'm curious where Santa Ana is located. It looks like it's not anywhere. It looks like it's not too far from Fort Worth or Dallas, where I've been to Dallas before. I do remember you, Pop Rocks. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, 3-hour drive, 3-day walk. Cornerstone was laid in 1907. Very cool. So you got our cornerstone beat by a few years. Our cornerstone was laid in 1921. Yeah, not too far from Waco either, it looks like. So not impacted by the flash floods, put it that way. But welcome everybody. If you're just joining us, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. We're chatting about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. If you even have some negative views on Freemasonry, that's okay. I'd love to hear those too. I've been a Freemason since 2007. I started exploring Compass Promotions as a way to explore the many ways in which Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. It's something I love talking about. Oftentimes Freemasonry is a pain in my ass, don't get me wrong, but I still love it even when it's a pain in the ass. And I love doing these streams and talking to people. And thank you, Ryan, for that. And congratulations again, Courtney. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to start this channel was because I hoped it would encourage people, and men specifically, to consider Freemasonry, consider joining. And so, Courtney, I think it's wonderful that you're joining. I know you're going to have an excellent Masonic journey. And I look forward to learning about your Masonic journey as you go through it. Nice. That matters, you know, distance matters. Sometimes it's not the most important thing. There are times where guys will purposefully choose to join a lodge that is, let's say, further away from them. Like they'll have a choice to join 2 lodges. One will be 5 minutes away, one will be 5 hours away. They'll join the lodge that's 5 hours away because it might be that, who knows, it might be that they had a family who was a member of the 5-hour away lodge, or friends, or they used to live there, or they work there, whatever it is. But it's one of those practical things that people so often don't think about, right? They so often do not think about, you know, like if somebody's coming to a lodge and asking to join, I'm going to ask them why do they want to join, what do they hope to get from Freemasonry, what do they know about Freemasonry. I'm also going to ask them, how far away from the lodge do you live? Can you make it to lodge meetings? Does this impact your work schedule? How does your family feel about it? If you've got a new family, will you have the time to dedicate to it? Right? All of that stuff matters as well. Good. We want to be kept on the loop. You know, I do kind of really enjoy the fact that I feel like I've managed to create a little bit of a family here. Through this channel. It's something I'm very proud of. And you are part of that family, Courtney. So by all means, keep me in the loop. I would really, really appreciate it. Keep us, I should say. Keep us in the loop. And welcome to everybody who's joining. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you will jump in the chat, say hello. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. This first, you know, half hour to hour is just us hanging out and chatting and seeing who joins. And then the second half or second bit is where we talk about specific topics. Today, I want to talk about the play Angry Allen. We should play chess. You'd kill me though. I mean, I am not very good at chess. I'm not smart enough to be good at chess. But I'm sure you would crush me on it. Having said that, it would still be a lot of fun and I would still enjoy it. So, yeah, no, I'd love to try it out. I mean, I'm still, first thing we have Masonically is August 30th. We have the special softball game. And then, what else do we got? There's some other stuff I'm working on over the summer, which I will keep everybody informed of when it takes place. Always follow me on social media. That way, you guys can know what I'm up to and what's going on and what I'm working on. Because obviously, I can't always be on the live streams, especially if I'm traveling. Uh, Pig roast, you mean? I mean, I know at the softball game, some people are bringing the food. I think it's Bond, so there'll be some people bringing food. It'll be great to see, and it'll be a lot of fun. But I do hope everybody is having an excellent day. We have, interesting, on this question of have you seen the play Angry Allen? It looks like 4 no, 1 yes. To whomever said yes, if you could put in the chat, let me know where you saw it and what you thought of it. I would love to know. I mean, it would just be great to have you there. I'm sure you could help out a lot in terms of the food, or not to help out a lot in terms of eating the food, as could I, as could we all. You could also bring some food if you wanted, but I'm sure mostly what you could help out with is helping us win the baseball game. Because we could use somebody, we could use a good athlete who can hit the ball far, and you look like, I think you're the type of guy who could definitely help us win the game. So we want you on our team. GQ BBQ, you are a bum. Well, that's unkind, GQ BBQ. Having said that, I'm still going to let you hang out because I'd like to know what is it that makes you think I'm a bum, aside from the way I'm dressed, maybe. And also, is it a Freemasonry thing you're saying? Is it that way you don't like calling me a bum? Or is it you're just hanging out in the post being a shit disturber? Either way, GQ, I still hope you'll hit the like button and subscribe button, as does everybody watching. Hope you hit like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of Freemasonry. Any thoughts, positive, negative, or neutral? And let me know if there's anything that you guys want to talk about. And yeah, Ryan, it would be amazing to have you at the baseball game. Just, I want you on my team because, like I said, I'm guessing you're going to be able to hit that ball pretty far. And God knows we could use the help because I am not athletic at all. Congratulations, Courtney. That is wonderful. And yeah, it's going to be great. Blake the Weirdo, what are you talking about? I just joined the stream. So this stream, I do this every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m., or I try to. We chat about Freemasonry, which is, I've been a Freemason since 2007, so almost 20 years. The first bit of the stream is usually just general questions and comments, and we just chat and hang out. And even though it's about Freemasonry, really we talk about almost anything in the stream. And then the second bit is where I talk about specific topics related to Freemasonry. In this case, I want to discuss the play Angry Allen, which is currently playing in New York and which I think has some interesting Masonic connections that I want to explore. So Blake the Weirdo, first, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. But second, and more importantly, I hope that you will let me know if you have any questions about Freemasonry, any thoughts, any comments, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. And thank you so much for joining. I truly appreciate it. Let me know how you came across this stream. I'm assuming it was just in your YouTube algorithm recommended it. But if you have any advice, also, or suggestions on how the stream is looking, please let me know that as well. If you think it looks good, sounds good. I am a newbie to all of this stuff. Anything audio, visual, I am not the best. Have you watched the play Angry Allen? 89% no, 11% yes. So it looks like 1 yes, the rest no. Whomever said yes, let me know what you thought of it. I'd appreciate it. Oh, 2 votes yes, 1 vote no. Have you watched the play Angry Allen? What the frick? I have a big nose. All right, Memikai 3. I'm very sorry. I did, I don't know why I have such a big nose. I've just grown to accept it. I still think I got a handsome face, all right? If I got a handsome face, let me know. Okay, so Raised Eyebrow has seen it. I thought Angry Alan was fantastic. Angry Alan, did you, sorry, Raised Eyebrow, and welcome back, Raised. Did you see it in New York during its current run with John Krasinski, or did you see it previously? Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. You see, whoever said I had a big nose, I Memikai 3. Ryan says I look good. Um, I do not play Xbox. I play some PS3. Um, I've played Assassin's Creed 3 because it has a lot to do with Freemasonry. I'm thinking of going to Grand Lodge. I haven't decided for sure yet. It'll be a last minute decision. I'm considering it. Thank you. My nose does fit my face perfectly. I appreciate that. So, Raised Eyebrow, I'm just curious. I'm going to talk about my thoughts later on. But do you understand, or from your opinion or your perspective, do you understand why maybe I can see some Masonic connections between the play and Freemasonry, or why I think the play might be relevant to Freemasonry? Let me know if you have any thoughts as to where I might be coming from. I definitely am not a presentable fellow. I am the worst when it comes to like how I dress, how I look. I admit it clearly. I've never been one who like dresses up or looks good. Freemasonry is the only time I dress up, wear a suit and tie or a tuxedo. So there is that, which does make me feel kind of fancy pants sometimes. But thank you everybody for joining. I hope that you will take a moment to hit the like button and the subscribe button. Jump in the chat and let me know. Do you have any questions about Freemasonry? Any thoughts on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. And thank you everybody for being here. And let me know if you think I look presentable. We're going to go with that. I got Ryan and I got Courtney on my side, which is nice. I'm hoping I can get a few more people telling me I look good. Because, with my low self-esteem, I could use all the help I could get. But I do hope everybody is doing well. Pop Rocks, I do not play Xbox. Normally what I play is PS3, which I know is an older game console. I got it at a second-hand store, but I've always liked it. Xbox and Wii? Okay, very cool. There we go. Thank you, Raised Eyebrow. Perfect. Raised Eyebrow. Yes. So that is what I'm thinking as well. That's a perfect, what you said there, right? I can't say I saw a connection to Angry Island Freemasonry, except that Freemasonry would have been a much more reasonable fraternity for the main character to explore. And that is absolutely, Raised Eyebrow, where I'm coming from, or from whence I'm coming, and why I think it's worth exploring. I really do think, and I don't know how we would explore this more, or what how we do this scientifically, but I do believe as membership in Freemasonry has declined, as the relevance of Freemasonry in men's life and the life of the community has declined over the years, it has left a space, and that space is being filled by Manosphere influencers, by men's rights conferences, right? Because men want to belong, people want to belong to things, and if they don't feel like they have Freemasonry, if maybe they don't know what Freemasonry is, or Freemasonry doesn't seem relevant to the community, or doesn't seem like it will support them, they're going to go somewhere else. And with the online world, it seems far more likely that they're going to fall into the trap of, in the play, Angry Alan, in the real world, Andrew Tate, the Manosphere, Fresh and Fit. And that really does scare me. And you see what happens to the main character in Angry Alan, what he becomes. And I have seen, and to its credit, when it comes to Freemasonry, I have seen men struggling with all sorts of different things in their life, getting divorced, whatever it might be, falling down these negative paths, and Freemasonry being there to kind of pull them back from the worst of it and pull them back from going too far into these rabbit holes. I've also seen on the other side of it, Freemasonry not be enough. And I've known some people who get divorced, get divorced, they lose their job, have a string of bad luck, and Freemasonry wasn't enough, and they still fell down these rabbit holes where they ended up, it just ended up very badly. And all I can say, there's at least some Freemasons and Freemasonry tried to be there, tried to be a bit of a safety net to catch them. But I've also seen it, again, where they start to go down these rabbit holes, they start to listen to these incredibly, what I would describe as toxic or harmful people, and then Freemasonry is there to give them a better support system and to turn them around. And I wish I could say that Freemasonry saved everybody. It hasn't, but I know it saved some people, and it's still saving some people, which is what gives me hope. And that's another really good point raised, Ira. Many guys may have an idea about it from their own family history but don't know what it is. And that's true as well. And, Voltaire, an Enlightenment thinker who was, a Freemason himself, he said something really interesting. He said, "We are all responsible for the good we do not do." And to me, if Freemasonry exists in a town but is not relevant in that town, is not presenting a face that is welcoming to men who are struggling, and as a consequence, the man who is struggling ends up going to, listening to Andrew Tate, listening to Angry Allen, listening to whomever it is, part of the responsibility for what happens to that man and where he goes is on Freemasonry for not doing enough to present itself in a positive light and not doing enough to make itself relevant so that person will want to join. I understand that's a lot to put on somebody, but I do think Voltaire was onto something when he said, we're all responsible for the good we do not do. I think there's something to that. Now, you have to pick your time. You can't save everybody. You can't help everybody. You can't do nothing but good all of the day. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be willing to protect yourself. One of the things I'm becoming much more interested in Freemasonry is this idea of you have to be willing to protect yourself sometimes. If you say, I am a Freemason and I am going to volunteer for every event, show up to every meeting, sacrifice my own time, my own money, my own energies, if you're one of 5% doing that and the other 95% are not, you're going to burn yourself out, right? You need to protect yourself too. You need to find a balance between protecting yourself and sacrificing yourself. And I don't know where that balance is exactly, but I'm trying to get better at it. Having said that, though, you can hold Freemasonry as a whole responsible for not being there to catch some of these men who are falling. I think you're absolutely right, raised eyebrow. I think you are absolutely correct. I think the anonymity is a big part of it. You can be vulnerable, but no one sees you being vulnerable. You're hiding behind a screen or a username. The other thing, though, I think you're right about the stigmatization, but the other thing is, and I think this is important to remember as well, the one thing that the internet offers is customization and you can customize the journey. So for example, I'm a man, I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm upset, I'm looking for a place to go. Blake the Weirdo, thank you for joining. I still hope you hit the like and subscribe button, but I appreciate you being here. So I'm a man, I'm sad, I'm lonely, I'm upset, I'm cranky, I'm whatever it is I am. Maybe I don't hate women yet, but I'm just angry in general, looking for somebody to hate or something to hate. I decide I'm going to go online and listen to these Manosphere guys. Well, the beautiful thing about that, from my perspective, is they're saved on my phone forever. So I can listen to them at 1 in the morning, I can listen to them at 1 at night, or 1 in the afternoon. I can listen to them anytime I want. I can take them for a run with me. And I never have to prove my work. I can just listen to them all the time. I don't have to do anything to prove that I've listened to them, right? And I can always, because they're not there watching me, I can I can take their lessons and apply them however I so choose. And that's very appealing because Freemasonry is not that at all. Freemasonry is not a customizable experience. If the Masonic Lodge is having a meeting at 7 p.m. on a Thursday, like Courtney, right? Courtney mentioned before when his lodge initiation was taking place, he can't call the guys and say, that time doesn't work for me. Can we do my initiation at 1 a.m., when I'm doing my run? It's like there's set times that you have to be accountable for. You have to be accountable for showing up. You have to be accountable for doing work. You have to be accountable to other men in the lodge. All of that stuff does not exist on the internet, and that makes it very attractive as well. Because again, I can feel like I'm growing as a person by listening to Jordan Peterson, and I can take Jordan Peterson with me wherever I so choose to go on my smartphone, or I can try to join a Masonic Lodge, but now I have to actually work on their schedule as opposed to Jordan Peterson working on my schedule. If that made any sense. Raised eyebrow, let me know if it did or not. But I think you're also right. I think the anonymity is a huge appeal. The ability to just be vulnerable, but anonymously vulnerable, which you could argue, if you're being vulnerable but anonymous, is that true vulnerability? But raised eyebrow, so when did you said you saw it on this current run? So it's in New York, right? Do you know if it's going to be coming anywhere else in the coming, or do they mention like they're taking the play on the road or anything like that? Nice. Like I said, if they mention they're taking it on the road, because if ever it came to Detroit, for example, I would love to see it. I think that would be incredible. Well, I will be sending an email, message, whatever it is, to John Krasinski. I'm sure he won't answer because he's very busy. As well as going to try to contact the director and the writer of the play and see if I can get them to join the channel for an interview, because I think, like I said, I really like that raised eyebrow, what you say there at the last part. I think if something is important to me, then being present for it is important too. I wish more people felt that way. I think that is kind of um, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? In some ways, I think that is a unwritten but pervasive idea in Freemasonry. Like, because you could argue, like, why not just say, if you want to join Freemasonry, just write us a letter, we'll make you a member, and you can show up or not show up, like, who cares, right? You could do that. You can make it like a gym almost, right? Like, you could turn Freemasonry membership into a gym model, which is, you pay for a membership and you can show up or not show up to the gym. The gym doesn't really care. The gym, honestly, is probably happy if you're not showing up because it's less overhead costs for them and they still get your money. Because the gym is a business, right? For Freemasonry, it's like, no, it's not just about you paying, it's about you being present, right? Being present is what matters. And a lot of times in Freemasonry, I didn't even say it's unwritten. There's discussions and there's ideas of like, no, meeting is important, being present is important. Even in an online sense, there's a reason why in Freemasonry, when you have an online meeting, it's a scheduled meeting. It's like this date, this time. We're not just going to record a message, right? It's like you need to show up for this. So I do think it would devalue the experience of Freemasonry to say, and I think it does. I think one of the challenges with Freemasonry right now is there is more of an emphasis on the number of members, the number of names on a piece of paper, and not the number of people showing up at a meeting. And I think that's a huge issue. So I think you're absolutely right in that case. Oops. All right, how am I going to do this? I got to figure out quickly how to plug my phone in. Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect way to look at it, right? The Sabbath is important, therefore it matters that you're showing up for it. And that's why schedules matter. But again, from a online perspective, that's why the online experience can be so compelling, I think, is because it is customizable. And the fact that it's customizable makes people feel like they're in more control of it. And I think for a lot of guys, especially if you're struggling, sorry about this, the shaking, if you're feeling like you're out of control in your life, however it might be, if you're feeling like your wife left you, you're economically insecure, you don't have, you're worried about your job, whatever it might be, if you have all of those feelings, there can be something, I would imagine, very attractive about the customizable nature of online discourse. I can't control my wife leaving me, I can't control work, I can't control how I feel economically, I can't control all these things. I can control, let me see if I can get this right. I can control, when I listen to my online Manosphere talk. Even though control, more often than not, I think, is in and of itself an illusion. I'm just trying to get this set. I still got to find a stand. I agree. Okay. How's that look on there? Do you got a decent view of me? Oh, no. Almost. I'm sorry, DJ, if you're feeling stressed. By the way, I don't know if you saw the email, but it looks like we're go for all three groups. Scoring Compass Promotions, Child Identification Chip Program, and Bloomsbury House at the Hip Hop Festival. So I will be keeping in touch with you as we go and letting you know what the plans are as best as I can, and trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Coordinate as I try to keep this phone from falling. But I'm sorry about the stress. I mean, stress is a killer. Right now, this phone is stressing me out. I've got to get that stand. Okay. I'm doing that. I don't know how good that looks right now. Let me know if it looks okay, if you guys can see me all right. But I will keep in touch with you 100% and let you know how it's going. And hopefully we will have, I'm sure the Hip Hop Festival will be great and will be a great time. And I'm sure the Masons will have a great time there as well. Not just Masons, but Scoring Compass Promotions, Bloomsbury House, etc., etc. Why do you say you have terrible taste in music? Raised eyebrow. I don't know if I would believe that. I think taste is one of those things. Taste is subjective for a reason. I'm sure you have great taste in music. If you like it and it sounds good to you, then you have good taste, right? In my oh so humble opinion. What's your favorite song? Who knows, maybe we'll both have terrible taste in music together if we both like the same song. Could I make it to Notorious 13 says beans. I'm told beans are a magical fruit, so the more you eat, I'm told the more something happens. I'm not going to say what it is, but you might know. What would you say, if you're in a good mood, what song do you listen to? And I get that, because I have certain songs I prefer when I'm in a good mood, certain songs I prefer when I'm in a bad mood. To me, actually, it's one of those things where, for me, music is usually tied to a place more than moods. So, like, for me, when I'm in Chicago, I tend to listen to songs from the Adventures in Babysitting soundtrack, like Percy Sledge, Johnny Southside. I like Van Morrison when I'm in Chicago. When I'm in Ottawa, I tend to listen to more of the kind of the mid 2000s, almost emo stuff, like Headley, Gunnin' by Headley, Asher Roth. I Love College is my Ottawa song. When I'm in Puerto Vallarta, it's Prodigal and it's Summer Paradise. Although Simple Plan is also an Ottawa song. So I tend to listen to different music depending on where I am. I was just in Rio, and Lost Together by Blue Rodeo is my Rio song. So that's where I kind of divide up songs. But for you, London, Ontario, it's Thomas Rhett. But for you, Raised Eyebrow, if you're in a good mood, happy mood, what type of song are you listening to? How do you get to Santa Ana? And welcome if you're just joining us. We're going to give a few minutes more, and then we're going to start talking about the subject I want to talk about today, which is Angry Allen, the play, and why I think it's relevant to Freemasons to think about it and to maybe even go see it. Good mood equals 60s garage, Cindy psychedelic rock from around the world, in Germany, and former Soviet countries' attempts at. I didn't know Soviet countries made attempts at groovy pop. If you were to suggest one thing to type into YouTube to like find an example of like Soviet groovy pop, let me know what to type in. I'll see if I can find it. That's really cool. Heis Sommer, Chris Dorick, and Frank Schobel. I will check those out for sure, and thank you so much for sharing that with me. All right, so then let's do the opposite. If you're in a not so good mood, what do you put in? What's the alternate or the alternative? And welcome if you're just joining us. Jump in the chat, say hello. We're here to chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on it, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Even if you're not a big fan of Freemasonry, I'd love to know why. The magnetic fields. Okay. I will check out all of that on the YouTube. And yeah, maybe I'll even share some posts share some of those songs. Because if I've not heard of them and I enjoy them, maybe other people haven't heard of them and enjoy them as well. You know, one of the fun things with this is learning not just what I want to talk about, but learning cool stuff about my audience. Kind of my YouTube family. I love that as well. All right, let's give it 5 more minutes, then we'll start talking about the play Angry Alan. But first, I need more coffee. No worries, raised eyebrow. Take your call. I appreciate you being here. And by the way, for everybody, thank you, High Altitude. I appreciate that very much. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. I haven't checked my crypto stuff in a while, so I have no idea where it's at right now. I think I've still got some stuff in Bitcoin, and I don't know if we have anything. I forget what else I've got, but I have to check that out. But I hope, High Altitude, you are doing well, and thank you for being here. Let me know, High Altitude, have you ever seen or heard of the play Angry Alan? Any song by the Beatles and the Rolling Stones? Well, you know, of course, that's what my dad is going to say as a Brit. Well, I don't know. I think it's like a very small play. Right now, it's exclusively in New York, off Broadway, starring John Krasinski. But we're going to see where else we can track it down. I'd love to be able to watch it one day, maybe even bring it here. Who knows? It's like a 20-page play, so it's a one-act play, basically. And also, out of curiosity, how altitude, because I've been asking around, I've been talking a lot about um, tech, excuse me, Texas lodges. Oh, excuse me. Give me 1 sec. This is going to be gross. Actually, I'm going to put this here. See if my camera doesn't fall. There we go. I'm back. Sorry, housing investment. I'm talking a lot about Texas Masons and Texas Masonic relief efforts as it relates to the flash floods. A lot of Masonic lodges, as you see often, are collecting donations, collecting products for relief efforts, whether it be to help those who've been impacted or to give to those carrying out relief efforts. Do you know of any lodges in America, specifically in your neck of the woods, maybe that have donated to support those efforts or help out Masons in Texas? Because oftentimes when you have one of these tragedies, you'll have local lodges stepping up and collecting money, and then you'll have lodges nationally or internationally donating to the cause. So I wonder if there's any in your neck of the woods in Utah. Just giving it a couple more minutes before we start on the main topic of today. But high altitude investing, I forget if you did so or not, but if you didn't, if you have a word that you would use to describe Freemasonry, I hope you'll put that in the comments or the chat, because I'm collecting 50 words. Hello, Mariana. I hope you're doing well. How's it going? And thank you for being here. So, Angry Man is a play by Penelope Skinner. Currently, it's playing in New York, Off-Broadway. If I recall correctly, until August the 3rd. And the relative premise of it, or the premise of it, is you have a main character called Roger. Basically, it's a one-man play. You have Roger talking to the audience, and Roger is an affable fellow who falls into some very harmful patterns online in what is basically the Manosphere. It's Angry Allen references a fictitious online influencer, but it could be an Andrew Tate, it could be a Jordan Peterson, it could be any of those cats. Mariana, I'm very sorry that you have a tummy cramps. I'm very sorry you had to go to the hospital. I mean, I guess, let me rephrase. I'm happy that you went to the hospital because I'm happy you could go to the hospital and hopefully they could make you feel better. But I'm very sad that you had to go to the hospital and I'm very sad that you had the tummy cramps. I hope that you start to feel better though. Um, there is absolutely no medical help to hitting the like and subscribe button for cramps, but nonetheless, I hope you'll do so. Maybe in a psychosomatic way, it'll make you feel better. Who knows? Awesome. Good for you, high altitude investing. Yeah, I mean, churches, to their credit, I know sometimes they can be. I mean, the different people have different opinions about churches, etc. So I don't want to get into all that, but oftentimes you will find churches, at least the good churches, are 100% dedicated to charitable efforts to helping those in need. There's a church next to my place, about 2 blocks away, that every Friday has a community dinner for those who need help. So good for the church. Good for the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints for charitable efforts. I mean, when I used to work in the jail, I was a rehab officer, which meant I would help guys when they were getting released, try to get set up with housing, food, whatever they needed. Oftentimes, one of the first places I would send them to once they got released from jail was a couple different local churches, because they would often have coffee and snacks for people who needed it. They'd often have clothing drives, food drives. They'd often have a lot of things to help people in need. And so when you were down on your feet and needed help, a church was a really good place to go. Sure, I do feel sad for you. I mean, it sucks to have a tummy ache, so feel better. And I mean, I think it's something about raising money. Some lodges may raise money. Some lodges may just, in a lodge meeting, make a motion to donate, $50 or whatever it is, $100, $200 to the efforts. I did post in previous streams where to send money, where to send checks if you want to support Texas Masons relief efforts. I do too. I mean, it was a tough job. I nothing but respect for everybody who's in that position. Everybody, basically, if you work in a jail, nothing but respect for you because it's not an easy job. You basically have to be a first responder, like especially if you're a correctional officer or guard. Like you have to be able to, like you think of what a first responder does. Well, if there's a fight, you have to break it up. So you're like police. If there's a medical emergency, you're the first on to do first aid, so you're like a paramedic. If a guy's having a shitty day or a bad day or thinking about committing, heaven forbid, thinking about committing suicide, you have to be a social worker or a psychologist. Like you are as much a first responder as you could possibly be. You're literally responding within seconds to the issue. Um, yeah, and yet nobody ever realizes it because they're all kind of behind the scenes, literally behind closed doors or behind locked doors. So people often don't realize how much work goes into it or what it means to be a correctional officer or to work in a jail in general. So yeah, thank you, high altitude. I appreciate it. I do not have a wife, Mariana. Who knows? Maybe one day. Who knows? All right. So going back to Angry Man by Penelope Skinner. It begins with Roger talking to the audience as he does throughout the play. And I found a copy of the manuscript online. And I love even where he starts because it's such an interesting place to begin. He says, do you ever do that thing where you think to yourself, I should really go for a run? So you look out the window, but that sky looks kind of ominous, doesn't it? So you pick up your phone to check the weather, see if it's going to rain. But when you look at your phone, you've got a message or an email. So you open the message or the email, and it contained like a link to an article or whatever. So you click on it and you read it, and it's interesting enough to keep you reading to the end. So you read to the end, and then at the bottom of the page, you see another link. And this one is like, you're not going to believe what they found when they cut open this giant snake, and you're like, okay, that I've got to read. So you read it, and then the next to that article is a photograph of a celebrity on the beach that you need to take a closer look at, so you do, and so on and so on. And eventually, you realize time has sort of, and it's 40 minutes later, you put your phone down and wonder what you were doing. And remember, you're going for a run, but when you look outside, it's raining. Right? And I love it the way he starts with that because to me, that kind of demonstrates the pull of Freemasonry and no, sorry, not the pull of Freemasonry, the pull of social media and what we as Freemasons are competing against. It's like I would be willing to bet, dollars to donuts that many guys have said to themselves, okay, tonight is the night I'm going to go back to the Masonic Lodge, I'm going to go back and visit my brothers, only to look at his phone, see a message or an email, open a link, open another link, open another link, and next thing you know, he's not going to the lodge anymore, because it's been 40 minutes. And it may even be that he didn't realize how long he's been online. But it's that pull of social media, that pull of being online in the online space that keeps people from wanting to go out to the lodge in person, which is kind of one of the things we're competing against. And again, it's that customizable experience of it. And that's how guys like in the play Angry Allen, in real life Andrew Tate find us. The algorithm pushes them through link after link after link. Sooner or later, they come across your way. And then we talk later on in the play about how angry, not just how angry, but how kind of crummy Roger, the main character's life is. He talks about his job where he works in like a Safeway. Customer service always sucks. And he talks about how he's dealing with customers at the Safeway, and sometimes if the customer's mad enough, the customer will threaten with physical violence, but all he can do is offer a refund, tell you I'm very sorry, hope you continue to choose Safeway, because that's store policy, and he knows can't go against store policy, right? So again, it's one of this idea of having a rough life, being sad, feeling disrespected, feeling mistreated, and looking for a place to go to express those feelings, or looking for a place where it sounds like somebody understands what you're going through, or finding an enemy. Instead of finding a constructive way to deal with those feelings, finding an enemy on which you can, direct those feelings towards. In this case, for Angry Allen, the play, Roger finds feminism. That's the other thing I love about Freemasonry. Freemasonry isn't interested in finding enemies. It's not interested in finding enemies for men to direct their anger towards or destroying anything. Rather, what it's interested in, what it cares about, is finding constructive ways to be better, for men to grow within their own selves, to kind of build themselves to become better people. Which doesn't mean hating feminism, it doesn't mean hating women, it doesn't mean hating anything. It's more about how you find a way to grow yourself. I know my Freemasons, I do. I do think if the movies and TV shows, even if the symbols are more like, even if it's in a movie like From Hell, one of my favorite movies of all time, starring Johnny Depp. It's a scary movie. It deals with some dark stuff. You could argue, do the symbols of Freemasonry in that movie help or hurt? To me, it's like, put them in there anyways. Get the conversation started. Um, at the same time, I understand, you can't force people to wear symbols. Some Masons just don't want to for whatever reason. But I would love it if we had more symbols out there in the world. Because again, looking at it from the play's perspective, if you have, if Roger from the play were to have seen more Masonic symbols in his day to day life, more people wearing the Masonic symbols, would he have potentially considered joining Freemasonry instead of spending all this time surfing the net, listening to people like Angry Alan spew their nonsense? So I will always be a proponent of getting our symbols out there, however it is that we can. But yeah, he talks about how he finds a basically an enemy group through which he can kind of express or direct his anger, a gynocentric society, as he describes it, which is quite the term. He spends 5 hours reading and watching videos about men's rights, um, kind of trapped in his own world. And then he has his red pill moment, which always kind of, I find that kind of funny that, red pill, blue pill came from, I like the Gmail symbol, LOL. There you go. Welcome, Spirit. Thank you for being. Brand recognition has a huge value, and it is unfortunate that Freemasonry are doing better, or Freemasons and Masonic lodges are doing better at trying to develop more of a brand recognition. A lot of Masons, a lot of Grand Lodges are really pushing, like, if you're going to use the term Freemason, Freemasonry, Ontario Masons, use it in this way, in this style, in this font, in this size. They want to see consistent brand recognition across the various platforms, streams, social media, because they want to get that brand recognition. Because it's not enough to just have the symbols. At a certain point, the brand recognition needs to be such that that there's a consistency amongst the symbols, which I get as well, by the way. Right? If only, because see, I hate the term red pill moment. I think it's kind of a BS term, but I wish for more people their red pill moment, quote unquote, call it what you will. First, I wish it didn't exist because it's a stupid term. But if they have a moment where they kind of see the world in a different way, I wish it was coming through Freemasonry, which I think would be a far more healthy approach as opposed to the conspiratorial kind of garbage nature of the online communities. Some of these online communities, not mine. Mine is incredible, but the Andrew Tates of the world. But I love what he says here. This is on page 3 of the play. Because for the first time in a really long time, I feel like someone is speaking to me in a language which I completely understand. And for the first time in a really, really long time, I feel like someone is saying something which makes me feel like good about myself. What is black pill? I never heard that expression before. I've heard red pill, blue pill, white pill. I would say I'm a blue pill guy. I'm actually a fan of the status quo. I don't know what black pill means. But again, going through that, because for the first time in a really long time, I feel like someone is speaking to me in a language which I completely understand. And for the first time in a really, really long time, I feel like someone is saying something which makes me feel like good about myself. Because I haven't felt good for a while. And I'm trying to think of how to explain this in the right way. Forgive me if I, because this is kind of complicated. I don't want to screw up. I don't think a healthy society is built on just listening to people say things that make you feel good about yourself, like apropos of nothing. Because, like, so in this play, Angry Alan feels this way. He hasn't done anything. All he's done is listen to somebody talk on YouTube for like 5 hours. And he feels good about himself, right? The thing I love about Freemasonry, genuinely, is it will make you feel good about yourself if you put work into it, if you care about it, if you're there for your brothers, then it will make you feel good about yourself, right? But Freemasonry, the beautiful thing about it is you have to put work in and effort in. It's about growing yourself. It's not just about listening to a guy online tell you things you want to hear. It's about um, um, like that's Freemasonry to me. What makes it so good is it will make you feel good about yourself and say things that make you feel good about yourself, but you'll get that because you've put work and time and effort into it. That's the beautiful thing about Freemasonry, in my opinion. But I also think we as Freemasons sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, we oftentimes don't do enough to encourage our brothers to make them feel good about themselves, right? Sometimes we forget if a brother has a really, really good event, does a good job, puts in a lot of effort, are we taking the time to congratulate him, to tell him he's done a good job, to make him feel good about himself, to speak to him, right? To, and even if he doesn't feel good, are we doing enough to say, hey, it seems like you're not feeling good. Can I talk to you? Do you want to go for coffee? Can I help you feel better? Like all of that stuff matters and is important. So, yeah, I think that there's kind of a key element there, though. You know, you have this guy, he's lonely, he has a crummy job, he feels alone, he feels bad. By accident, by YouTube algorithm, he comes across a misogynistic fella by the name of Angry Alan, listens to him for 5 hours, and then what does he say? For the first time in a really long time, I feel like someone is speaking to me in a language which I completely understand. And for the first time in a really long time, really, really long time, I feel like someone is saying something which makes me feel like good about myself. Because, I haven't felt good for a while. And again, to its credit, I have seen men falling down these traps, feeling bad about themselves, feeling alone, and Freemasonry and Freemasons come in as a safe thing to catch them and keep them from going down a really, really bad path. I've also seen men, though, unfortunately, who were Freemasons, maybe not get the support they need from Freemasonry, maybe not be open to getting the support they need from Freemasonry, and end up going down some really, really dark paths through online discourse. One of them ended up in jail for terroristic threats, which is a whole other can of tuna. But, we can't save everybody, but we can try. And we can try to make sure our members feel good about themselves. And we celebrate their wins and we celebrate their victories as much as we can. I haven't felt good for a while. And I mean maybe years. And I can say that now because one of the first things Alan talks about is that our society, men aren't allowed to talk about their feelings. It's so hard for us men to say things like, I feel like I could have done so much more with my life. I feel inadequate. I feel like a failure. Well, and again, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. There's two things you can do. If you feel like a failure, first, I think we as Freemasons, to men and to the Masons in our lodge, should say, look, if you're still fighting, if you're still trying, if you're still getting up every day, going to work, putting in an honest effort, caring about yourself, caring about others, even if that caring has become kind of twisted through your anger and through your sadness, if you still do those things, then you're not a failure because you're still fighting and you deserve all the credit in the world for continuing to fight. But also, as a Freemason, what we should be saying is, if you feel inadequate and feel like a failure, it's also on you to not feel that way by doing things in your life to make you not feel that way. Part of that is a personal growth, things like exercise, things like going to the gym, things like trying to be the best neighbor you can be, trying to be the best friend you can be. Maybe make a list of 3 things you can do every day that will make someone else's life better. Not your life, but someone else's life better. Thank you, raised eyebrow. You can check out the rest of this after, by the way, because this will be recorded. But also, what can you do within the Masonic Lodge to not feel inadequate, not feel like a failure? Can you do more ritual work? Can you try to organize a degree? Can you organize an educational discussion? And can we as Freemasons give opportunities for men who feel like Roger to do more with their life? So if somebody comes to you and says, I feel inadequate, I feel like a failure, can you say to him, okay, I'd like you to organize a banquet. I'd like you to organize an educational program. I'd like you to do a presentation. What is one thing you love? Your favorite TV show? If that's what you love, then I hope that you will present about it at the next lodge meeting. And then if he does a good job, you can say congratulations on great public speaking. If he does a not so good job, you can still say congratulations for trying. I could tell that was tough. Let's do another talk next week and see if we can make you better, right? If you feel like that wasn't your best work. It's about giving men a chance to shine. And that is the thing. And one thing you could argue is every Masonic lodge meeting represents a chance for an individual Freemason to shine and to feel like a success. I would say, Dad, I would disagree with that slightly. I would say you're as good as the continued efforts you put in. So you have a past success, that's great, you should be proud of that, but you have a responsibility to try for the next one. And again, that doesn't mean you go like 10 days without sleep and you punish yourself and you have to be perfect. That means you just keep trying. And if you keep trying, you're good. While also understanding and recognizing you do need to protect yourself at times. And I didn't even know that's what I was feeling. He thought maybe he had cancer because it's psychosomatic. No, you can be both. I get that. I kind of feel the same way, Spirit. I kind of feel the same way. I feel like sometimes I prefer my own company, but I also love being a Freemason. So it's a really challenging combination of things. 100%. By the way, you said black pill is acceptance. So acceptance, do you mean acceptance in the sense of like you accept things are the way they are? Or like what would you mean by acceptance? I've been living in a cage, right? I'm like a man who's been living in a cage, but he didn't know it and he was unhappy. Hopefully, I mean, Freemasonry again can maybe provide a key to the cage in a sense, but it's a key that doesn't unlock it towards this feeling of bitterness or anger. Rather, it's the feeling of having the power and the ability to change how you feel and to feel more like a success. Then conference. He talks about the next significant event. So the first significant event for Roger, a man who feels alone, a man who feels sad, a man who feels like a failure, is he finds someone online who's speaking to him in a way that makes him feel not like a failure, to make him feel like a success, who feels not even like a success, but who feels like he's talking to him and feels like he's saying it's not your fault, that you're going to be okay, or that I know what you're going through, even though it's somebody he's never met before. It gives him a direction to channel his anger. I get it. I get the let it burn mindset. Unfortunately, I try not to have that feeling, but I've had it. Many times I've had a very nihilistic attitude towards things where I just become so angry at whatever it is, at feeling like no matter how hard you work, it's never good enough. I get that feeling. Sometimes I liken it to this idea of imagine if every day you plant a beautiful garden, and you're proud of the garden, you're proud of the work you've put into it, and then somebody comes along and for no reason that you can tell just decides to burn the garden to the ground. Maybe they do it on purpose. Maybe they don't do it by purpose, but basically their own foolish actions, their own dumb decisions. They don't just harm themselves, but it harms you as well. Eventually, you develop this feeling of let it burn and indifference. So I get that, but I'm trying to fight that feeling as much as I can. It's not easy though. I just got to plug this in. I'll be back in 1 second. And my suspicion is with Roger in this play, it sounds to a little bit like before he got to the point where he was angry at the world and falling in with the angry Allens of the world, he had a little bit of that indifference and a little bit of that bitterness and anger, which does I think scare me a bit, and it's why I try to avoid those feelings as much as I can, even though it's hard. Because usually bitterness and anger, it leads to, so bitterness and indifference, I think it's very easy, can lead to anger if you're not careful. And I'm trying to avoid that in spirit, which is why I'm so happy you say there you're keeping your humanity, which I think is a really good thing, and I'm sure you will. And I'm glad you are, because I don't know you, in person, but I'm very happy you're part of my stream. I have no doubt you're a good person and a good Mason, and I appreciate you being here. So I hope that you still keep your humanity for years to come, because you deserve to be human, put it that way. We all deserve to be human. So he's signed up to a couple of men's rights emailing lists. Again, we as Freemasons, if we're not communicating with our members, somebody else is. Or if we're not communicating to men, someone else is. Right? And in this case, it's men's rights groups communicating to Roger. But again, to what extent is that our fault as Masons for not communicating to these guys, for not messaging to these guys, for not advertising to these guys? And I'm not saying, by the way, I do want to make it clear, many Masonic groups, many Masonic lodges, many Masonic Grand Lodges are communicating to men. The Grand Lodge of Ontario, my Grand Lodge, just produced an incredible and an amazing online social media campaign, which I've shared to my socials. So I don't want to make it seem like, no, we're not doing that. We are. We're trying very hard, but could we try harder? Are there areas where we're dropping the ball and we're allowing men, like in this play, Roger, to fall through the cracks? So he's getting all these emails from men's rights groups, men's rights activists, to the extent that, because he's spending so much time communicating with these things or seeing these things, his wife or his girlfriend, Courtney, thinks and accuses him of cheating with somebody. And I think there's something interesting there with Freemasonry as well, in that, if you're a Freemason and you're dedicated to it, you're spending a lot of time away from lodge, you're spending a lot of time away from your family. Goodbye, Dad. You're spending a lot of time at lodge, on meetings. But I've noticed the wives, the girlfriends, if they're included and involved, and the lodge is part of the family and not just focused on the husband, but the whole family, you don't get those accusations. You don't have the marital stress. But you need men to talk to their wives about Freemasonry and to talk to them about what it is and involve the wives and girlfriends and families and kids and sisters and friends. It shouldn't be like you have Freemasonry and you have your life. It should all be one circle. In this case, though, with this gentleman, it's like his men's rights group is one part of his life, and then he has the other part. And when you have that, and usually that's honestly the sign of a cult or cultish behavior, is when you have a group that wants to separate you from your family, right? Freemasonry wants your family to be part of the Masonic experience and not separate, at least if it's being done right. and if it's being done correctly. Yes, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. So then, and I love what he says here. So he's been spending a bunch of time on his phone with all these men's rights groups and men's rights activists and all that nonsense. His wife accuses him of sleeping with somebody else, and he says, I'm not sleeping with someone else, I'm changing the world. And he then explains to her what men's rights activism is. Right? Men, I think men do, and it comes to a good place, want to feel like they're changing the world. They want to feel like they're fighting for a better world or making the world a better place. The thing about Jordan Peterson's and the Andrew Tates is they give you kind of a mission. They say, like, okay, you as a man will change the world, will make the world a better place by hating women, controlling women, whatever terms it is you want to use, all that kind of nonsense. Um, the thing about Freemasonry, and this is my personal opinion of it, I do think Freemasonry makes the world a better place. I do think Freemasonry helps to change the world in a positive way, or at least Freemasonry gives the opportunity to fight for a better world. In fact, when people ask me what they get from Freemasonry, my answer has always been, um, and now it has been, I should say, my answer is you get nothing from Freemasonry except the opportunity to fight for a better world, which I truly believe is the case. A better world by providing a space and a place in which men of different faiths and different political beliefs can interact together and showing other people that it's possible for a Jewish person and a Muslim person and a Christian person and a spiritualist person and a indigenous person can all gather together and work together by showing the world that Democrats, Republicans can work together, conservative, liberal, for a common good by providing charitable efforts, by providing a space for men to grow. I think all of that stuff is truly fighting for a better world. And it does it in a million other ways. It provides a space for men to talk about how they're feeling. It provides families with financial support when they need it. It provides people with the opportunity to learn and grow within Freemasonry. I've seen people about to lose their homes, about to lose their apartments, be saved by financial work. Did you know, for example, that if you um, are in the hospital, let's say you suffer a heart attack, and you end up in the hospital, you are 2.5 more times likely to have another heart attack or pass away while in the hospital if you get no votes, or if you get no votes, Jesus, if you get no visitors, as opposed to if you get visitors. And I've seen when Freemasons go to visit people in the hospital, the difference it makes to them to have somebody there. Even widows and people who are orphans, Masonic orphans, I've seen people get better. So that's changing the world. But that's changing the world in a positive way, right? And that's something I love about Freemasonry. Hello, Magnus. Sony, I'm sure many people did. I did not, but I'm sure many people did. I'm not a fan of Trump myself, but hey, you know what? Even if you are, you're still my friend, and I wish you the best. Though I'm no fan of his, put it that way. By the way, Sony, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Rondo, let me know when you set up their SMD, I think it was. Let me know what you meant by that, and thank you for being here. We're talking about the play Angry Allen. Well, I'm no fan of his either, but Himanshu, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. I'm here talking about the play Angry Allen, why I think it applies to Freemasonry. And he decides to just go check that last email, Men's Right Conference. Sure, you can ask a question. And then we get to Joe, a son, right? Family connections are very important in Freemasonry. Welcome, you're just joining us. We're talking about Freemasonry. I'm talking about this play Angry Allen, which is currently playing off-Broadway in New York, and why I think it could apply to Freemasonry. I'm not a huge Marvel movie fan. I tend to love horror movies and scary movies. But for me, I would say my favorite movie from the Marvel Universe is probably Iron Man, the first one, the original. Favorite color? Pink. I love the color pink. Bret Hart wore pink, and it's a very manly color. So if anybody doesn't like the color pink, you're crazy. He's talking about feeling alienated from his son, which again, thank you. Yes, Mariana Chill. I hope that, again, this is one of the examples of why Freemasonry needs to care not just about the Mason, but the whole family. Needs to provide a space for the whole family to be part of it. Right? I think one of the biggest dangers we have in Freemasonry is when we start to focus so much on the Mason, you forget about the family they have. We've talked about this before, like a Mason is coming to lodge, he may have all sorts of problems, all sorts of issues going on. He may have issues and problems with his finances, with his wife, with his kids, who knows what. We have a responsibility as Masons to try to take those things into account. And not hopefully dismiss those things. Because if he's struggling, we need to try to see what we can do about it to help him out. Thank you, Himanshu. By the way, Himanshu, I hope you'll hit this subscribe button. If you've not done so already, please hit like and subscribe. Yeah, I assume Mariana was a bot. Here, Himanshu, I'm not so sure, but I think Mariana is probably a bot. Himanshu, my favorite W superstar, is that Goldberg you've got on your thing? Nice. For me, it's John Cena. In fact, this right here was the next one tattoo was dedicated to John Cena because he used to always say his favorite match was the next one. And for me, what I always say, all right, Mariana, I'm going to put you on pause a little bit. He used to say his favorite match was the next one. So for me, what I would always say is my favorite Masonic event is the next one. The next meeting, the next event, the next whatever it might be. He is on a farewell tour, and he's doing a great job, I think. I mean, it's crazy impressive how good he is at wrestling at his age. I mean, I'm 41, and I get tired rolling out of bed in the morning, and this guy's taking body slams. It's crazy. But very impressive. No, he, in my opinion, he's the GOAT. Best of all time. All right, we got this thing back set up once again better. Oh, yeah, I figured. But can democracy survive? I figured it's the bot as well. Can democracy survive in the 21st century? I don't know. I hope so. We're trying our best. I'm trying our best. Freemasonry, by the way, is a very, very democratic, um, is a very democratic organization. That's one of the things I love about it, is the fact that it is so focused on democracy. And so if it's going to survive, I mean, a lot of these Enlightenment values, democracy, human rights, are tied in with and through Freemasonry, and it is my hope that Freemasonry can help lead the way to ensure democratic rights remain. And I know it sounds like a lot to put on Freemasonry, a lot to put on Freemasons, but that's how I feel. And I think we do have a responsibility to try our best to promote these things. I mean, I've said in the past, on the stream even, there exists in 2025 um, two great enlightenment experiments. The first is America, and while I love America, I love Americans, I have a lot of concerns as to um, where I think maybe America's going somewhat. But it's still there, and America can take a licking and keep on ticking like no other country I've ever seen, to its credit and to the credits of its people. Um, and the other great Enlightenment experiment is Freemasonry and principles like democracy, human rights, the idea that power is derived from the consent of the people, equality, rights for women, even. All of these are very Enlightenment era ideals that I think Freemasonry continues to promote despite a lot of challenges in the world. Don't know a ton about him. I have some reservations about him, some of his ideas, but um, I do believe the current system is somewhat unstable. And look, here's my basic premise on all this stuff. And by the way, Freemasonry, we don't discuss politics in lodge. So if you love Zoran Mamdani or you hate Zoran Mamdani or anywhere in between, you are still welcome in a Masonic lodge and you're still my brother. My preference will always be for help and support of individuals to come first and foremost from other individuals in the community at the most base level. So for example, my brother loses his job, my Masonic brother loses his job. He is at risk of losing his apartment. I would rather him first and foremost come to the Masonic Lodge, receive benevolence, and then be able to keep his apartment while he looks for a new job. And then when he gets a new job, he can pay the lodge back or whatever it is, who cares? As opposed to going to the government for a social safety net. Having said that, you always will need a social safety net from both the government and private. And it seems like in the States, with the way so much of the social safety net has been fraying and allowed to fray, you kind of, it makes sense they turn to a Zoran. But I also think the fraying of the social safety net is both the fault of poor government work and also a destruction or the lack of a civic society. Like, as Freemasonry grows, as churches grow, as community groups grow, as civic organization groups grow, as neighborliness grows, you see a reduction in the need for government intervention in society. I truly believe that. But if those things are going away and you need to rely on government, and government is also failing, that's a recipe for disaster. I just wish we were put more of an emphasis, not just on what government can do for us, but what we can do for each other. And I think we're not doing that enough. And I think Freemasonry, at its core, what it is about what can we do for each other? What can we do for our communities? As opposed to what can the government do for us? Having said that, I can understand. I mean, he's very, very good at communicating. He seems like a really good politician. And I do like some of his ideas. Some I don't, some I do. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I hate the ethnic attacks on him. I think that's baloney. I don't care whether you are Muslim, Christian, Jewish. Like, it's just bullshit. For anybody to be equating him with Al-Qaeda, I've seen, for anybody to be claiming that because he's Muslim, he's not a good American, or questioning his, like, that's absolute bullshit. That shouldn't be happening. I don't know what can be said about that beyond that. And again, one thing about Freemasonry is it should teach us not to judge anybody based on their ethnicity nor on their religious beliefs. Because, I don't care whether you're Muslim, Jewish, or whatever it is, That is not the reason to attack anyone, and anybody who does that should be ashamed of themselves for doing so. I've seen a few attacks on him linking him to 9/11 for some reason, and yeah, whoever's saying that should be ashamed of themselves. So going back to Angry Allen, right? We're getting into the Me Too portion of it. We're getting to the idea of, again, when Freemasonry is done right, Freemasonry should bring men closer to their families, wives, kids, parents, whatever it is. It should be a family affair. It seems like with these men's rights groups, oftentimes it's the opposite, or at least so it appears. So yeah, you're not wrong about. I mean, and not again, not everywhere. I think again, having traveled to the States a lot, I love Americans. I find when I talk to them one on one, there's not a lot of Islamophobia, but obviously when you get into the social media sphere, you're not talking to people face to face. It gets different. So he is going to. Angry Allen is going to the men's rights conference, donating Angry Allen. Right, he talks about how he imagines himself going to this conference. And suddenly I imagine Roger walking into that conference holding his head up because he's made a real contribution. He helped fund a home for men who are victims of domestic violence or survivors of male genital mutilation. And before I know it, I'm logging into my online banking and checking account. It's worse than I thought because my alimony payment's already come out, but no, okay, it's doable. How about instead of staying in a conference hotel, I get my $10 garage, book a spot at a KOA campground outside of Cincinnati. That could save a bunch of money. And okay, I can do some overtime next month and maybe put a stamp collection on eBay, which I've been meaning to do for ages anyway. He goes back and he donates. So again, it's looking for something to make a real contribution. He's talked about this a lot. He wants to make a real contribution. He wants to change the world. And he has found a way to do so that's based on anger, that's based on bitterness, that's based on making an enemy out of women, as opposed to um, as opposed to other ways such as Freemasonry to try to make the world a better place, which would be a very different outcome as well as a very different idea. And so he talks about he's talking about the anger he feels towards not being able to express himself, towards seeing women be able to cry in public, but he can't. Which, by the way, you can cry in public if you're a man. I don't see what the big deal is with that. Unless he was telling you you're not allowed to. And now he's miming potential suicide or hurting himself. And then we get the C word, conspiracy. I mean, if I was a person inclined towards this thinking, then at this point I wonder if there's a conspiracy to stop me from going to this conference. Which again, I've seen men fall down the conspiracy rabbit hole. And I've also seen men within Freemasonry find a way to fall outside of the conspiracy rabbit hole by having something else to focus on, something else to put into their lives, right? Which I think is a really, really important and valuable thing to remember. Like, if all you have is online conspiracy theories, then that is all you're going to be emphasized and focused on in your life, right? As opposed to having other things to focus on, positive things. Again, do you have Freemasonry? By the way, everybody who's watching this so far, thank you for being part of the live leaderboard. As you can see right now, Himanshu is number 3. But thank you, everybody who's joined so far. So yeah, and then his current partner leaves him. And he goes to the conference. And he gets a name tag at the conference with a gold rim. And again, especially if you're having trouble, if you're having challenges in your life, if you feel like a failure, any little thing is going to make you feel better. A name tag with a gold rim may not seem like a big deal to a lot of people, but if you think about what this guy's gone through in his life, got divorced, his current partner's left him, he lost his job, his current job he feels disrespected, which in some ways he is. Then yeah, men's rights groups comes along, says, hey, we'd like you to join our conference. And by the way, if you donate, you get a name tag with a gold rim. That's a motivating thing. That's a motivating factor. I've talked about this before. What motivates people to do things, right? It's called gamification. What motivates you to want to join Freemasonry? What motivates you to want to stay in Freemasonry? What motivates you to want to join a men's rights group? What motivates you to want to donate? One thing that motivates is recognition of various sorts. A gold tag, a gold rim on a name tag is going to motivate you to want to donate more as well as to be part of the group. EL said hi. Hello, EL. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. The bars of the cage are finally lifting. Welcome if you're just joining us. Jump in the chat, say hello, hit the like and subscribe button. We're just reviewing this play called Angry Allen, which I found the manuscript online. I would love to see it one day. I think that what Angry Allen demonstrates, amongst other things, is how important groups like Freemasonry is or are to keep men from falling into some of these really toxic traps. Welcome, just waiting to see who else is going to jump in the chat to say hello. And he finds out that his son is actually trans and is identifying as a trans woman, I believe. And identify himself as Katie. And again, it's one of those things where if he had decent friends in his life, if he had a support system in his life that was healthy and stronger and he didn't feel so alone, would he then react with such anger and bitterness to, I guess, his trans child's statements, right? Would he not have felt more comfortable? Would he not have felt more comfortable with the situation, not find it as threatening? And I mean, look, I can understand having confused thoughts or feeling confused if your child would come out to you and say, I'm actually trans. But to react the way he did, I think if he had more positive role models in his life or more friends, more people around him who were themselves not so focused on anger and hatred and bitterness and all those other things and jokes that aren't jokes and all these type of things which Freemasonry can offer, would he have reacted in a better way, in a more supportive way, not have felt so threatened by it, as opposed to everything he's got has always been from Angry Allen, from the Manosphere, from this type of thing, right? So that is my very brief review of the play. I've read it once. I want to read it again. I want to see if I can see it in person. But I think, again, ultimately, to me, why Angry Allen matters as a play is because it demonstrates the dangerous path people can go down, or dangerous paths people can go down, when they don't have Freemasonry, or they don't have civic groups or civic organizations on which to rely and to act as a social safety net. In this case, a mental health safety net. Instead, feeling they need to rely on, the Angry Allens of the world to feel supported, to feel helped. If you're struggling, however it is you're struggling, I guess what I'd say is I hope you find people to talk to who care about you, who want what's best for you. And maybe one of the places you can find that is a Masonic lodge, you know? And we as Freemasons have a responsibility to remember if we're not out there talking to people, the Angry Allens of the world, the Andrew Tates, the Jordan Petersons are, and what they're sharing is incredibly dangerous, as we see in this play. So I hope that that made sense to people. In the meantime, though, welcome. Thank you for being here. I hope if you are just joining us, you hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going. If there's anything you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. We're at that stage now where it's just hang out and chat and talk and see what people want to say. Nobody likes burnt tacos. I don't even know what that means. Who likes burnt tacos? What is a burnt taco? Like, is that because it's hard to burn a taco? Because the shells are separate, right? So, that you have the food, you cook the food, then you put the food in the shell. So are you burning the shell? I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan. Nothing's wrong with cracking a joke, but how is it going? I don't know if you've been to coffee club lately, but I hope it's going well. I am doing well, but I got this stupid ear infection, which I want to get to the hospital today, but it's closed now. I may go to the emergency room, honestly, though I really don't want to because it's a waste of emergency room resources just to get some antibiotics for my ear, but, I may have to get the prescription because it's a pain in the butt dealing with it right now. That's okay. There'll be more. It's not going anywhere. It's absolutely not going anywhere, so it's fine. I hope that you'll be willing to join us in August 16th at the Hip Hop Festival, where I'll be live streaming. And then I get them all the time. I used to get them more because I used to swim all the time, and I always get swimmer's ear. It was a pain in the ass. But I got it at the best time I could, like by far. Right? I got it when I'm not traveling, I'm not overseas. This in Rio or in where was it? In the Philippines, Manila. So yeah. Do you guys really have a secret handshake? Asked Couscous. Maybe, but it's a secret. Yes, we have modes of recognition, is what I'll call them. There are different types of modes. They may or may not include handshakes, but they are ways that I would be able to identify another Mason without then sharing that identification with people around me. So we call them modes of recognition. Whatever that handshake may or may not be, though, I will never say on the stream. So you guys will just have to guess. Or join. I hope everybody watching this is doing couscous. I hope you hit the like button. If you've not done so in the past, I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. Also, I hope you'll check out some of my other platforms. For example, I have my Patreon. Patreon.com/square and compass, Once again, that's patreon.com/square and compass. I hope you guys will check that out. You can become a member for free. I figured you had been. But you can become a Patreon member for free or pay a couple bucks a month or just for free. The more people I have on the Patreon, the better it is for the stream, etc., etc. So please check that out. And thank you everybody for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. I'm going to ask this new poll question now, although I appreciate everybody who's answered the former one. More people seen Angry Alan than I thought, which is really cool. Like gold bullion? I do not. Or do you mean do Freemasons collect bullion? Because we do not either, for the record. I'm sure there are some Masons who collect gold, but none that I know of. And certainly no Masonic lodges collect gold. It would be cool if we did. Oh, we got a yes answer. Very cool. That voted yes. All right, because you are actually on the leaderboard. You are ranked as number 3 right now. So there you go. I don't know how you get from 3 to 1. Underground Thomas, it's been a minute. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. By the way, I will mention again, just because efforts are still going. Texas Masons are still collecting donations to support those affected by the floods in Texas. As of right now, I believe they have over 100. There's at least 160 people still missing, and I think over 120 have been confirmed dead. My travels were incredible. They were really, really good. So yeah, I felt really lucky. I feel really lucky I get to travel. It's an absolute honor. I do not know how to sell gold. I have no clue. If I did, I would help you. Rosalie is back. Hello, Rosalie. I hope you're doing well. I hope that you guys will hit the like button. Also, don't forget, you can become a patron by going to patreon.com/squareandcompass. That's PATREON .com/squareandcompass. Good. I think that's a great book, and I think it really helps describe some of what is facing our society, what is facing Freemasonry, maybe even could explain in some ways what Roger in the play Angry Alan is experiencing. So I'm glad you've been reading that. That's awesome. They also turned it into a movie called Join or Die, which I got to watch in Michigan, and it was really, really cool to watch it. So. But I'm glad you're watching it. It's a great, I'm glad you're reading it. It's a great book. Very, very underappreciated in my oh so humble opinion. It was a warning bell, I think, in a lot of ways for what society is currently going through. And I wish maybe in some ways we had spent more time thinking about it. I mean, to the credit, some politicians did try to ring the alarm bells, particularly like Bill Clinton and even Barack Obama, but it didn't seem to, the alarm bells I don't think were rung loud enough, and I think now we really are struggling with this here in 2025 with the the lack of civic society, civil society, and what that has meant for us. By the way, I do think I'll be back streaming tonight at 1 a.m., maybe the final stream. No, I have Friday as well. Hey, social capital is critical. Yeah, and Rob Ford may have. I don't know a lot about him or his time in office, but I think he probably got it. Well, I think for a lot of them, it would be like I would start probably with Freemasonry for Dummies. Honestly, it's a super simple book to get into, and it gives you the basics. But you know, there's Island Freemasonry. There's The Initiatic Experience by Chuck Dunning. There's a lot of good books out there. Creating a Masonic library is very valuable. The real question is how many Masonic lodges out there are themselves, or Masonic buildings, I should say, have themselves taken the time to create libraries for their membership. Not as robust as I wish it was. I mean, relatively is the key word there. I mean, Freemasonry in North America is struggling in terms of reducing membership numbers. I mean, we are one of the better, I'd say, more robust organizations here in Windsor, but everywhere is struggling. And that's one of the reasons why I started this, is to try to work hard to be better, and to become more robust. You know, one of the biggest challenges, though, that is facing Freemasonry or in North America, especially as well as England, is the challenge of trying to get more people engaged and active. But we're working on it. I mean, one of the reasons I started this stream for two reasons. One, to talk to non-Masons. Well, the reason I started Screenhouse Promotions was to explore the ways in which Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. But as part of that, I want to be able to show and explore ways that Masons can grow their Masonic lodges while also exploring ways that Freemasonry can become more robust. I have a lot of enthusiasm for it because I love it and I think it makes the world a better place. And that's where my enthusiasm comes from. I think it's worth fighting for, put it that way. And when something's worth fighting for, part of it is you have a responsibility to be enthusiastic therein, or therefore. And by the way, Underground Thomas, if you want to help me out with my enthusiasm towards Freemasonry, once again, I hope that you will consider subscribing, or not subscribing, I'm sure you already are, but going to the Patreon page, patreon.com/SquareandCompass, and becoming a member, even for free. It would be very, very helpful. But all right, I think I'm going to end this stream for now. I will be back on another stream tonight. Maybe we'll talk about Angry Alan a little bit more. Who knows? But thank you guys for another excellent stream, and I hope you have a great day. And Courtney, if you're still there, congratulations. We're all incredibly proud of you, and we hope you will keep us informed of your journey. All right, have a great day. Bye for now.